Kayla Renee Rowland was born on May 12, 1993, in Mount Morris Township, Michigan. In the year 2000, Kayla was a kind and sensitive 6-year-old girl who loved church and loved to watch her favourite TV show, Barney. Her babysitter described her as having a heart of gold, and in school, she was the top reader in her first grade class. On the 29th of February 2000, Kayla arrived for her classes at Buell Elementary School. The school was situated in the heart of a rough neighbourhood, rife with unemployment and heavy drug use. During a change of classes, most of the first graders were lined up in the hallway, ready to move on to their next class. As some children lingered in the homeroom, including Kayla, the first grade teacher, Alicia Judd, went out into the hallway to check on the other children. When the teacher stepped out of the classroom, Dedrick Owens, also 6 years old, approached Kayla. While standing in front of her, Dedrick announced, "I don't like you." Kayla turned around and retorted, "So?" Without responding, Dedrick lifted out a .32 caliber handgun from his trouser waistband and shot Kayla once. The bullet entered her right arm and travelled through a vital artery. As a small red spot spread across her pullover shirt, Kayla said, "I'm going to die," to another classmate before crumpling to the ground. Kayla's teacher, who had heard the commotion, ran back into the classroom, saw the blood-splattered body of her pupil, and called 911. Following the shooting, Dedrick placed the gun on his desk and ran out into the hall, where he was detained by school officials and taken to the principal's office. Meanwhile, Kayla was treated by paramedics at the scene and was rushed to Hurley Medical Center, where she was pronounced dead at 10:29 a.m. Her mother's cries could be heard throughout the halls of the hospital. Dedrick subsequently became the youngest school shooter in a nation overwhelmed by such tragedies. He was taken into police custody, where he explained what he had done. It was noted that he showed no remorse, nor did he seem upset. He simply believed that he had been naughty and that a bad thing had happened. He thought this was like television, meaning people don't really die. He was expressing to police that he didn't understand that it was real, said Police Chief Eric King. After telling his story, Dedrick sat drawing pictures on a piece of paper given to him by authorities. This picture still hangs on the wall of the police station today. It soon became apparent Dedrick and his older brother had been living in a crack den operated by his uncle, Sir Marcus Winfrey, and another man, Jamel James. Dedrick's mother, Tamala Owens, had moved the two boys in with her brother and his friend after the young family were evicted from their home. The crack den, located at 1103 West Julia Avenue, was notorious as a haven for cocaine users, who would often trade stolen guns for drugs. He was basically living in hell, said Genesee County Sheriff Robert Pickerel. The house had been under federal investigations for drug and gun trafficking even before the shooting. However, police had been building up a case and had not yet moved on the house. Even before moving to the crack den, Dedrick had been living with his drug-addicted mother, who would later confess that she frequently exposed all of her children to marijuana despite their young ages. In addition to Dedrick and his brother, Tamala also had a daughter who she had taken to live with other relatives. Despite her evident problems, Tamala had been working 2 jobs in Oakland County in an attempt to get off welfare. At the time of the shooting, Dedrick's father, also named Dedrick, was in jail for violating parole. He had been convicted of cocaine possession with the intent to sell. An investigation uncovered that the gun used in the shooting had been stolen by Jamel, who routinely kept it loaded and often twirled it in front of the 2 boys, creating an atmosphere of reckless circumstances. In the days leading up to the shooting, several witnesses would later tell police that they had seen Dedrick playing with the gun, which wasn't kept in a secure place. Alarmingly, numerous phone calls had also been placed to the police by the neighbours, who knew that the living conditions were unacceptable for 2 children. One neighbour commented, "It took a killing to get these people out of here." It was uncovered that throughout his short life, Dedrick had behavioural issues. He was known to kick and hit his classmates, and also pick fights. A classmate recalled how Dedrick had once punched him after he refused to give him a pickle. Even more alarming, Dedrick had once been suspended for stabbing a fellow student with a pencil. In fact, Dedrick had attacked Kayla beforehand, and just the day before the shooting, he had attempted to kiss her on the playground, but she pushed him away. He later told police that he had taken the gun to school in an attempt to scare Kayla after their playground altercation. Shortly after the shooting, County Prosecutor Arthur Bush said that Dedrick knew that the gun was loaded when he retrieved it from his pants and fired, but whether he could understand what the result was would be another matter. Michigan law states that somebody needs to be old enough to form criminal intent to commit the crime of murder. Moreover, the common law of the United States decrees that a child under the age of 7 is not criminally responsible and cannot be convicted of a felony. Therefore, it was declared that Dedrick lacked the ability to form intent and was not charged with murder. Instead, Dedrick was expelled from school for 90 days in accordance with Michigan's school's anti-weapons law and placed into foster care. Following on from the shooting, Dedrick's father apologised for the shooting itself, but refused to accept responsibility. He said, "The only thing that I feel responsible for is not being there in his life like I'm supposed to, like a father every day." For not keeping the gun in a secure location, and therefore granting Dedrick access to the weapon, Jamel James was charged with involuntary manslaughter. He pleaded no contest and was sentenced to 15 years imprisonment. Tamala Owens, who would claim that she had no idea that stolen guns were being sold inside the house, was charged with neglect. A public memorial service was held for Kayla Rowland in her honour on Friday, March 3rd, 2000. 6 candles were placed outside Brown's funeral home in Flint for each of Kayla's 6 years alive. All day, a steady stream of mourners would visit to pay their last respects. Kayla was the youngest school shooting victim in the United States until the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting in 2012. Kayla's mother, Veronica McQueen, went on to become a staunch advocate for stricter gun control. She said, "I wanted to go back to semi-normal and me being mum at home taking care of my children." Veronica keeps a locket with an engraving of her daughter Kayla around her neck. Buell Elementary School closed in 2002 due to dwindling enrollment and stressed finances. The campus was heavily damaged by arson in 2005 and was demolished in 2009. Police records show that in 2012, Dedrick Owens was charged with second-degree home invasion and larceny, where he stole shoes, a laptop, and an iPod. He pled guilty and received 2 years probation. As of 2023, Dedrick Owens resides in a Bay City apartment complex, but has refused to answer to the media.